Good morning, everyone. My name's Bruce Donaldson, and as you're logging in, just a quick bit of admin. So make sure you can hear me all right. On the top right-hand side of your screen, there should be a little hand. If those of you could hear me, could stick that up, that'd be a great start for the day. Thank you. All right, looking good. Seems all the technology's working fine. So today, there's no live Q&A on today's session, but right at the end, there's going to be plenty of time to jot down an email for any of your follow-up questions. So please stick around to the end, and you'll definitely need Jen's email at the end of the presentation. So let me introduce you to today's presenter, Jen Barnes. She's one of the founders of the SmartBiz project in Australia, and is coming from the small business owner's perspective. Over the last 30 years, Jen has started, built, bought, sold, franchise partners and mentored businesses. She came across this same education just over 2 years ago, has applied it to her failing manufacture and export business, and hasn't looked back. So the information she presents is wonderful, so I'll hand it over to Jen. Thank you.
Cheers, Bruce. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Excellent. Full team turnout today. It's amazing. Thanks for being here. Okay, so we've got a lot of content to get through over this hour. It's great stuff. You're going to love it. So let's get going. Right. The reason that your websites and ads don't work, I couldn't believe it when I learned, but it's because everything you've ever learned about generating leads and growing your business profitably is wrong. Yeah, I know. Today's a turning point for your business, so get set for some seriously good education. Right, we're going to kick off with a real-world example. It's a case study of a chiropractor. Okay, so let's say you're this chiropractor. I'm sure you can put yourself in this position. You've just spent yourself just over 10 grand in radio advertising. You ran that ad for 2 weeks, maybe a bit more, and at the end of the day, your phone rang 15 times. Yeah, 15 times, 10 grand. One patient, 2 grand. You can do the math. That is an 8 grand loss. Yes, I've experienced that myself, and I'm sure a few of you out there have as well. But let's have a look at this through a parallel universe. What if you took just 1,300 of that budget, and just by changing what your ad said, just the words, instead of getting 15 calls and 1 sale, you could generate, and this is exactly what happened, 137 calls, 37 new patients, each worth 2.5 grand. That is, get ready for it, 92,500. A whole lot better than an 8 grand loss. That is what we call getting far more bang for your marketing buck. It's all about profiting more and paying less. Today I'm going to show you how to leverage what you're already doing just by changing the way your marketing and advertising reads, what it says. I'm not talking about radical changes here. I'm just talking about simple, common sense changes that enable you to exponentially leverage your marketing results and in the process dominate your entire industry. We've scientifically coined the phrase more bang for your marketing buck. You heard it here first. The system is a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough in marketing and advertising. It's simple and easy to understand. So, let's get moving. These are logical, common sense principles that you can easily implement into your business. God, you could do it this afternoon. These principles will give you a clear vision of what your marketing is supposed to look like, and probably even more importantly, what it's not supposed to look like. This marketing system that I'm talking to you about today is based on the unchanging principles of human nature. that dictate that people always want to make the best buying decision possible. People hate being ripped off. Therefore, your job as a marketer, the marketer of your business, is not to ramble on about how good you are or how low your prices are. Your role is to position your potential customer so that they have total control over their decision-making process. And what that means is you giving them enough quality information so that they can determine whether they're getting the best value for money or not. These fundamental formulas and strategies not only make your marketing work better, but they'll enable you to create competition-crushing marketing. I want you to see how powerful all of this is and allow you to comprehend what the possibilities are for your business and what a significant advantage you'll hold over your direct competitors when you implement it. Okay, first up, there's a core distinction I need you to understand, and that's the difference between strategic marketing and tactical marketing. Look, until this education, I didn't know the difference myself, but here it is. Strategic marketing is the content of your message. It's what your ad says. It's how you say it, the concepts you're choosing to talk about, the words, the images that you're using to communicate those concepts. You know, the tone of your message. Tactical marketing, on the other hand, is where you're saying it. It's where your message is being seen. It's, you know, where you run your ads, your website, what your trade show stand looks like, all of that kind of stuff. 99% of time, if I ask any business owner about their marketing plan, they almost always come back to me in terms of tactical marketing. They send a direct mailer, they run radio ads, got a website, you know, that kind of thing. But I can tell you here and now, the key to effective marketing is to master the strategic side, not the tactical side, because I can assure you, get this well and truly through, what you say in your marketing and how you say it is almost always more important than the marketing medium you're saying it in. So it's what you're saying on your radio ad rather than which radio station you chose is more important. Hope that made sense. Look, both are important in real terms, but the real leverage is in the messaging itself, and that is the strategic side of marketing. In fact, when a marketing campaign bombs, and I know I've had a few of them bomb, the tendency is to blame the marketing medium, like the radio station or the newspaper, the TV station, whatever it is. That's the tactical part of the plan. No one's given any regard to how good or bad the strategy was behind that marketing and what that marketing messaging was. During this presentation, you're going to learn how to say things in such a way that will make a profound difference to the results you're getting from your marketing and your ads, no matter what your business is or how crowded your market is. Our revolutionary lead generation system works with all kinds of businesses, all sizes, shapes, colors, no exceptions. We've scientifically called this strategic marketing the missing marketing link. Okay, strategic marketing allows you to finally stop competing on price and start selling your products and services for what they're really worth. Now, does that sound good? You'll drive more leads and see an increase in your advertising response by double to more than 100 times. I've seen it. It's amazing. You'll also convert a higher percentage of those leads and turn your salespeople into superstars because, frankly, they'll be converting more sales. They'll love their job more. You'll increase the amount of your average sale, and your list of clients that pay, stay, and refer will increase significantly. In short, you'll get better bang for your marketing buck. But maybe best of all, you'll finally have control and certainty over your marketing and lead generation results. So, the question I pose to you is, what is the actual purpose of marketing? What's it really supposed to do? In a nutshell, marketing is supposed to facilitate a prospect's decision-making process. There are prospects out there right now that need to buy what you sell. Others need time and education to the fact that they need to buy what you sell. And on other occasions, they already know what they want, but they need help deciding who to buy it from. Often, irrespective of any of those categories, they have specific questions or concerns that need to be overcome before they're going to pull their credit card out. Now, consider this. Because these prospects are not experts in what you do, or their exposure to what you sell is quite low, they really don't know the relevant issues surrounding the purchase. They don't know how to make the best decision. They can't tell the difference between the best deal, the best value, and a major mistake. This leaves an opportunity for you to provide them with this information and guide them through the buying process. Consider this example. How many home extensions have you ever bought in your life? I know I've done one. Maybe you've done 5 or 10, but like most homeowners, the answer is probably 0 or 1. Let's assume that you fall into that group of people who have never actually bought one at all. Do you have any idea, looking from the outside in, the difference between a $10,000 extension and a $50,000 extension? You know, just by looking at it, looking at a picture in a brochure, for example. Probably not. Now realize that when people need to buy what you sell, they're generally speaking just as clueless about what you're selling as you are about that extension. So your job, simply put, is to facilitate your prospect's decision-making process. That's actually quite a simple process. Okay, all prospects and customers want the same things. And it really doesn't matter what type of business you have. They want to feel confident that their money has been well spent and their decision-making and the decisions, that they've made is to the best of their ability. They want the best deal. They're not actually out there looking for the best price. They want value. People instinctively want to make the best decision possible and not feel as if they're second-guessing their buying decision or, even worse, getting ripped off. All you have to do as a marketer is figure out what's important to your prospects. Educate them as to what constitutes the best deal and the greatest value, and then show them direct proof that you actually provide the best deal in terms of price and value. All this has to be communicated in such a way that they'll pay attention to it, they'll believe in it, and then take action on it. When this occurs, the prospect gets what they really want from you, complete confidence that they've made the best decision possible and got the best value. Now, here's the problem with all of that. Instead of using marketing to educate and facilitate the decision-making process, most businesses fill their marketing with self-serving jargon. That's really only a thinly veiled way of saying, buy it from me because I want you to give me the money instead of my competitor. That's why people have become jaded. It's why they resist marketing. They tend to either dismiss your entire message or worse, become skeptical and stop paying attention to the message altogether. Think about the last telemarketing call you got. See what I mean? Prospective buyers want to be educated so that they can feel confident when making their purchase decision, and I tell you, no one's out there providing it. But here is the great news. The first one to provide prospects with information in your particular sector wins all the profitable businesses, all the profitable customers available, all of them. When marketing is done poorly, the end result is 100% predictable. You'll start to feel intense pricing pressure from your prospects. And typically, you're forced to cave in, lower your prices, destroy your margins, and make way less money than you should just to stay in business. And you get to have that lovely spending more time at work, away from your family, no holidays. You get the drift. The successful businesses out there aren't having that experience. Okay, buckle up. Here's the brutal truth. If you're always competing on price, it's 100% your own fault. Sorry about that. If you're always competing on price, it's because price is the only relevant variable that your customers have got to consider. From the prospect's perspective, all things appear equal, so they default to the business offering the lowest price. I'm about to show you how to fix that once and for all. Our system is a step-by-step program for innovating and marketing your business. The system will allow you to first be better than your competition, and second, do better marketing than your competition. This allows you to separate your business from your competition and become the obvious choice for your prospects to do business with. Consider this. There are actually two sides to your business. First, there's the inside reality, and second, there's the outside perception. The inside reality encompasses everything that you do. It's your skills, your service, your systems, your commitment to excellence, your passion, and the way you conduct your business on a day-to-day basis. It kind of boils down to everything that you do. However, your outside perception has to do with how customers and prospects perceive your business. The outside perception is developed through the interactions that your prospects and customers have with your business. But here's the problem. Let's say you provide unequaled customer service and your customers absolutely love you. None of that matters if your prospects, 1, don't even know you exist, or 2, because of your inability to market your business properly, their perception is that you're no better, no worse than all of your competitors. I would estimate that well over 95% of businesses out there are completely inept when it comes to marketing. I know I was. And the end result of all of that is that your inside reality and your outside perception are wildly different. You see, regardless of how good you are, regardless of your inside reality, your prospect isn't going to be able to figure out your true inside reality based on your current marketing. You simply appear to be just another business that sells whatever it is you sell. Remember that chiropractor, 137 calls versus 15 calls. That was an extra 122 calls a month. Actually, hold on, it was 2 weeks. Those calls came in as a direct result of changing his marketing, which is his outside perception, to accurately reflect the inside reality, which was a particular expertise. That's it. Your marketing must do the heavy lifting for your business. Let your marketing deliver eager, qualified prospects into your sales funnel. Competition today is more fierce now than ever. Remember, the number of competitors that you have right now is the number of choices your prospects have. That's how many businesses they've got to sift through as they attempt to reach a buying decision. And the internet has only made this problem worse. Have you noticed that lately everyone's going bonkers for online marketing? SEO, pay-per-click, AdWords, Facebook, social marketing, blah, blah, blah. And look, rightfully so. Those prospects start their buying processes and their researching processes online. But, you know, the sad reality is that for businesses that are advertising online, they spend a ton of time and money and effort just to get the prospects to their website or their Facebook page, whatever the case may be. And what do the prospects see when they get there? The same lame old junk like service, quality, dependability, family-owned, all the same lame old junk they saw in the lame old brochure before the internet was invented. As well as the same old lame old junk that all of their competitors have on their websites, by the way. These businesses then curse the internet and try to figure out how to get better qualified traffic to their site. Tell you what, the reality is that they're probably already getting enough qualified traffic to their site, but they fail to realize that it's the lame website messaging that's the real problem. Oh, excuse me. The reality is that the internet is just another advertising medium to screw up your marketing with bland messages that do nothing to facilitate the decision-making process of your prospects. Yep, the internet is an important tool in your marketing arsenal. It is. But you need to have a great website, and that means you better fix your strategic marketing messaging, or it will continue to fail or just limp along at best. There's an old saying, if you want to know why Jane Doe buys what Jane Doe buys, you've got to see the world through Jane Doe's eyes. But the problem is that while most businesses are very good at knowing what Jane Doe wants, they haven't a clue how to communicate through their advertising and marketing their inside reality to the outside world and the Jane Does. They can't lead their prospects to say, I would be an idiot to do business with anybody other than you at any time, any price, anywhere. We've been successfully generating leads for business owners for more than 20 years. Okay, I came into it only 2 years ago, but yeah, the wider organisation is deep with experience. And it's been our collective experience that most businesses could stand some improvement in both their inside reality and outside perception. I'm pretty sure you're nodding away there. But for some reason, they struggle the most with their outside perception. In other words, they've got great businesses. Most of them offer exceptional value and have great skills. They've got a really good inside reality. But with all the competition that exists, they have a major problem differentiating themselves from the rest of the marketplace. They're simply not getting the value of their business across to the outside looking in. What about you? What's your outside perception? Go grab a piece of marketing. Look at your ads. Look at your website. Is it instantly obvious what makes you better, unique, and different? Do you show your prospects how to judge your industry? Do you show them what factors they need to be considering when buying what you sell? And how do you provide greater value than any of your other competitors? You'll realize as these concepts start to sink in that this is the crux of most marketing problems, including yours. No, I certainly know it was mine, and can be summed up in this one simple statement. Most businesses' outside perception is not at all an accurate reflection of their inside reality. So I'm going to show you why this is happening and what you can do to fix this for your business forever. I told you at the beginning of this presentation that everything you know about generating leads and profitably growing your business is wrong. Let me clarify what that statement means based on what we've discussed so far. The reason everything you currently know about marketing does not allow you to accurately portray your inside reality to the outside world is a product of decades of being conditioned to do marketing the wrong way. In the very early days of advertising, I'm talking, late 1800s, early 1900s, much of the advertising that existed back then was comparative in nature. Ads would just say things like, hey, we're better. Oh, sorry, they wouldn't say, hey, we're better. They'd say things like, we're better and here's exactly why. On average, they actually did a pretty good job of building a case and helping prospects understand the important issues in relation to their particular product or service. The result was that the outside perception was generally a pretty good reflection of the inside reality. Then the most significant event in the history of marketing and advertising occurred in 1945. Television was commercially introduced for the first time. Up until then, national distribution of an advertising message was extremely limited and very expensive. It was limited to radio and print advertising. But with the introduction of TV, large advertisers could all of a sudden buy a television commercial and reach just about every living person in the country for around $4,000 a minute, usually sold in 1 or 2 minute blocks. What a bargain, I mean, even in 1950s money. Back then, there were only 3 channels, so demand quickly outstripped supply, and prices shot through the roof. In response to the rising cost, the length of commercials shrank down from 2 minutes to 30 seconds. This meant that advertisers had less time to educate us on the important and relevant issues and build their case as to why they were different, better, or unique. So instead of attempting to use shorter ads that highlighted their comparative benefits, advertisers changed tactics and started using slogans. That change made it harder and harder for the outside perceptions to accurately reflect inside realities. Remember that marketing's first job is simply to get a prospect's attention. Even running just a 30-second ad gets attention was still not a problem for these advertisers. But then what? That's right, after you grab your prospect's attention, you must next facilitate their decision-making process. Companies and their ad agencies found that this was a lot harder to do in just 30 seconds, but they also found out that they didn't really need to do it. Because the number of real competitors back then that could actually afford to advertise on television and run ads against them was wonderfully few. They could spend a ton of money running 30-second ads and win by default. Now, if there happened to be 2 or 3 major competitors jockeying for the same prospects, like the Pepsis and the Cokes of the world, that was fine. There was plenty of business to divide 2 or 3 ways. The bottom line is that the company's inside reality and outside perceptions didn't really have to match up. The lack of choice eliminated this necessity, so the focus for all marketing and advertising simply became getting the prospect's attention. That's when advertising really lost its focus on selling and instead shifted its focus to creativity. The idea was to get the consumer's brain, to get into the consumer's brain with something creative that would stimulate them and cause them to recall the product later on at the point of purchase. That's when slogans became the de facto marketing standard that's still in use today. The breakfast of champions, home of the Whopper, beans means Heinz, you get the idea. This new creative approach took over advertising as we know it and is filtered into all other advertising media, including radio, Google, AdWords, newspaper, magazines, billboards, websites, you name it. Once this new creative message was in place, the big companies spent lots and lots of money and basically gave people no other option but to remember their message. After hearing things go better with Coke for the 8,000th time, you're going to remember it whether you want to or not. We call this C&R advertising. C for creativity, R for repetition. Create an ad that's unusual, weird, shocking, funny, so on. Spend $1 billion running that ad about 1 million times and cash in. We call this the era of the brand builders. Think Mad Men. And it was in the the 50s, 60s and 70s. It was a no-brainer formula for market dominance. But it was really only for companies with the budget to pull it off. And that's when it happened. Ad agencies started running this formula for all of their clients, even the ones that were smaller and didn't have deep pockets. Business schools started teaching marketing and advertising based on these methods that were being successfully implemented by the largest companies in the world, and churning out marketing graduates who only knew one way to do marketing. Brand builder marketing and advertising became the de facto standard for how you do it. And after a few years, no one even questioned the formula, which brings us to the crux of the problem. All of us alive today grew up in the era where almost all advertising you've ever seen or ever heard is the product of the era of the brand builders. As a result, we've all become conditioned as to what constitutes a good ad. We've learned the fundamental pattern for what to put in a commercial. We've learned about slogans, jingles, being funny. We've learned that in marketing and advertising, the outside perception no longer has to reflect the inside reality. Let me repeat. Everything you've ever learned about generating leads and growing your business is wrong. And now you know why. As a result of this new breed of advertising, jargon has started to dominate all marketing and advertising. Think of jargon as words or phrases that are drearily commonplace and predictable. They lack power to evoke interest because they're just overused and repeated far too often. And they're stated as if they were original or significant in some way. In advertising, you see and hear jargon all the time. Since businesses only have 30 seconds to try and convey what makes them special, they lump everything into jargon, such as largest selection, most professional, lowest prices, highest quality, best service, fastest, most convenient, largest in the universe, more honest, we're the experts, we specialise, works harder. You get the drift. Get it done right the first time. I particularly love that one, and we've been in business for 1,000 years. Look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be those kind of things. They make up the foundation of your inside reality. But consider this. If my marketing says that I offer high quality and great service, isn't that just commonplace and predictable? Doesn't it lack power because doesn't everybody else say that? Advertisers use jargon as though it were original and significant in some way. Does my inside reality really shine through that jargon? You see, you simply can't demonstrate and exhibit your inside reality using jargon. It's impossible. And unfortunately, the end result is an outside perception that you're no different to anybody else. There's absolutely no distinction, no separation, and no differentiation. Not a jot. You just flat out cannot make your inside reality and outside perception match up when you use jargon like this. There are several ways you can easily and quickly evaluate your own marketing to see if you're getting caught in the jargon trap. Jargon evaluation tip number 1 is what we call, well, I would hope so. When you make a claim, don't think about it in terms of the words coming out of your mouth. Think about it in terms of the words entering your prospects' ears. This will enable you to realize just how absurd most jargon sounds. Look at the messaging in your marketing and then ask yourself if the prospect's immediate response might well be, well, I would hope so. Here's an example. I recently saw an ad on TV, it's a local one out here, for a landscaper. Although the ad, throughout the ad, they continually emphasized the fact that their work was of the highest quality, it was fairly priced, they guaranteed satisfaction 100%. Wow, great. Well, I would hope so. Would any of us hire a landscaper who just didn't provide all of those as standard part of service? God, of course not. The problem is that if your business has an exceptional inside reality and you're using the same jargon as everybody else, then the outside perception is that you're all the same. That's when prospects default to the business offering the lowest price. Price now becomes the only determining factor. Here's evaluation technique number 2. We call it Who Else Can Say That? It's also a product of the era of the brand builders. Pay very close attention to this one. Stop thinking in terms of who can do what you do. Instead, think in terms of who can say what you say. Because the unfortunate answer to that is usually anybody and everybody can say what you say. It was a sad story, actually. I know a tradesman who ran by far the most impressive kitchen company out west. Every member of his crew had at least 15 years' experience. They were all certified subcontractors, had won all sorts of industry awards. They were the only kitchen company that provided a full satisfaction guarantee and 10-year material and labour warranty on every single thing they did. They left the job site every night cleaner than when they first arrived. They also guaranteed they would install any kitchen, no matter the size, in no more than 5 days, and that is half the time of all of their competitors. This, of course, meant far less disruption and inconvenience to the homeowner. So, in short, their inside reality was literally second to none, but they had a huge marketing problem. Their marketing looked almost identical to all of their far less worthy competitors. Their marketing said things like certified subcontractors, guaranteed satisfaction, and then a long list of work that they performed, such as new cabinets installed, complete kitchen remodeling, and so on. Oh, and get this, they accept Visa and MasterCard. Okay, well, I hope so. But then ask this question. Who else can say that? When the owner of this kitchen company was asked that very same question, he got really defensive. He said, there's no other kitchen company who comes even close to matching the work we do. Our subcontractors are far and away the best there are. No one, and I mean no one, can say what we say. So finally, to get the point across, I asked him to pull up the websites of his 5 biggest competitors, just to see what they were saying, just on their homepage. Let's say his jaw hung open for quite some time before he finally pointed to the screen, what the... Look at this website. I know this guy. He's terrible. But his site says exactly the same thing as mine. In fact, I think he copied my site word for word. Yeah, it was disturbing. I felt quite sorry for him. He looked at the others and saw that all of their websites were virtually the same. The moral of the story is it's not who can do what you do, it's who can say what you say. And if your marketing is full of jargon, then sadly, the answer is all of your competitors can. Okay, one last final jargon detection evaluation technique, and it's called the Scratch Out Write-In Test. Take a look at your brochure or your ad, your website. Now scratch out your name and write in your competitor's name. That's it. If the marketing is still valid, if the website still conveys the same basic message, then guess what? You just failed that test. This evaluation can be very revealing. Most businesses discover that they run fairly high on the jargon meter. You may find your inside reality, as excellent as it may be, is nowhere to be found in your marketing messaging. It's all but lost in a sea of jargon and completely invisible to your prospects. Am I making sense? Is it evident that this might be a problem for you now? It probably is for most of us. But a tremendous competitive advantage if you could figure out how to fix this for your own business. Let me explain a very simple process we call the conversion equation. This will enable you to eliminate jargon forever. I'm going to show you how to become a communications powerhouse. Make your outside perception an excellent reflection of your inside reality, and finally begin to get the results from your marketing that you should be getting, and to have a high degree of certainty around that. Okay, the conversion equation has 4 main components. The first, and we alluded to it earlier, is interrupt. This is simply the process of getting your ideal customer to pay attention to your marketing. This is best achieved by appealing to them emotionally. Easier said than done unless you understand what you're about to learn here. The second component is to engage. Once you've interrupted, promise your prospect a solution and information to help them make the best decision possible. This is also best accomplished on an emotional level. The third component is to educate. Once you've interrupted and engaged, you have to give them information that allows them to logically understand how and why you solved their emotional problem. This is accomplished by giving detailed, inside reality revealing information. This turns the corner from an emotional sell into a logical one. And the fourth and final component of the conversion equation is the offer. Now, the prospect has been interrupted based on problems that are important to them emotionally, engaged by the promise of a solution to that emotional problem, and they've examined the educational information that makes your solution to that problem real and believable. So the last step for you is to give that prospect a low, or better, no risk way for them to take the next step in the sales process. This can be accomplished by offering a free marketing tool such as a report, a brochure, seminar, something similar, something that educates them even more. The prospect is in complete control of the decision-making process. This conversion equation follows the formula for what marketing is supposed to do in the first place, namely, to interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. Remember earlier, we discussed that if you want to know why Jane Doe buys what Jane Doe buys, you've got to see the world through Jane Doe's eyes. Well, I would submit to you that if you want to know what Jane Doe sees, you'd better first understand how Jane Doe's brain works, how it processes information and makes decisions. To understand this process, there are three major concepts I need to explain. The three concepts seem to be no one else in the world of marketing understands, but three concepts that will make all the difference in the world to your marketing's effectiveness and your profitability. The three things you need to know about Jane Doe's brain are downtime, uptime, and the tricky one, the reticular activator. We'll kick off with downtime. This is that hypnotic state of running automatic patterns. It allows your brain to perform habitual tasks without any conscious thought. You do this all the time. Probably one of the worst examples I can think of is, have you ever driven to work, got there, and you don't remember making the trip? Yeah, that's downtime. What downtime means in marketing terms is people see and hear ads with their eyes and ears, but they just don't notice them on a conscious level. If you open a newspaper or a magazine, you'll be looking at maybe 70% ads and 30% news, but because the ads are only seen on a downtime level, 99% of the time, you won't even notice them on a conscious level. All you consciously see is the news or the articles that you were there for in the first place. Alright, let's look at uptime. This is the brain's state of alertness or active engagement. It's like when you're driving on the freeway in a thunderstorm. You're sensitive and responsive to absolutely everything around you. You're in uptime. Here's what uptime means when it comes to your marketing. When your prospect is in uptime mode, they consciously notice your ad, and they're open to your suggestions and your solutions. Something captures their attention and compels them to keep paying attention. The key to marketing is to get your prospect out of downtime and into uptime, to shake them out of their natural subconscious haze where they never see your ad and into uptime where they are fully conscious and aware of what you're trying to communicate to them. Once you understand how to do this, you'll have the ability to make a fortune with your marketing. Okay, but to fully grasp Jane Doe's brain, let's now look at the reticular activator. This is the part of your brain that's on the lookout 24/7. It's even on the lookout when you're asleep. It's constantly scanning, looking for things that fall into any of these three categories. Things that are familiar, things that are unusual, and things that are problematic. You know when you say to yourself, oh, I'll remember that later, and in the middle of the night, bang, you sit up, you bolt upright and you've thought of it? That's the reticular activator at work. When the brain detects any of these three categories on a subconscious level, it sends a message over to the conscious side of your brain and says, hey, wake up, there's something here you need to pay attention to. Whatever those familiar, unusual, or problematic things are, we call them activators. In short, your brain, on a subconscious level, is constantly on the lookout for activators. It's searching for things that are familiar, things that are unusual, or things that are problematic. In other words, things that demand a conscious response. Whenever it finds one, it pokes your conscious brain and snaps it out of downtime sleep mode and into uptime alert mode. Okay, so what does any of that have to do with marketing? Well, the short answer is everything. Understanding what wakes people up so that they pay attention to what's going on in your marketing message past the interrupt stage and onto the engage stage. And when we engage your prospect, we've just increased our chances of selling to them 1,000%. This is going to solve the problem that every other marketer just hasn't been able to figure out, which is not just getting them interrupted, but also getting them engaged. Not just finding any old activator, but finding the right activator. Look, any idiot can simply interrupt people. In fact, it's actually quite easy to do. The so-called marketing gurus with ponytails and Porsches are doing it all the time. Those guys prefer to use activators that are based on things that are familiar and unusual because they're the easiest to pull off. Ever noticed how many animals are used in advertising, for example? That's because animals are familiar and likable. And the idea is that those animals will interrupt you by poking your conscious brain when they're detected by your reticular activator. Chum has a Scotty dog. Bundy Rum has its bear. All of these animals have good All of these animals have good interim value based on their familiarity. That's also the major reason that big advertisers use celebrities. And what about activators based on unusual things? Well, that's what creativity is all about. Creativity's main purpose in advertising is to dream up something so weird, so strange, so shocking, or so unusual that it'll snap you out of downtime and into uptime, otherwise known as the interrupt. But here's the key, and just what may be one of the more important things you're going to learn today. Once the brain is activated, once it's been snapped out of downtime and into uptime alert mode, it wants to be engaged. So it immediately and subconsciously searches for additional clarifying information. The brain wants to know, hey, what's this all about? Does it affect me? Do I need to do anything? Literally, on a subconscious level, the brain wants to know, what on earth is this, and do I need to allocate any conscious bandwidth to this? So, the brain is searching for additional facts. If it finds them, it'll become engaged. If it doesn't, it'll quickly snap back into downtime. We call these important, relevant issues hot buttons. If you're a cricket fan and your reticular activator detects Shane Warne, for example, on TV, it notices that on a conscious level because Shane Warne's familiar. He's an activator. Then your brain immediately asks, hey, what's Shane Warne doing with hair replacement? Is there anything here relevant to me in my life? Or in other words, is this a hot button issue for me at this point in my life? What typically happens is your brain determines that hair replacement isn't important or relevant to you. It doesn't do anything to solve any of your current problems, and therefore it's not a hot button. And so your brain immediately reverts to downtime. Let me be crystal clear here. An activator is something that snaps a person from downtime to uptime, and it's based on something that's familiar, unusual, or problematic. But an activator can also be classed as a hot button if, and only if, it's based on something that's important and relevant to the prospect. Your best bet to successfully interrupt and engage your target market is to identify problems, frustrations, uncertainty, and annoyances that your prospects have, and then address them in your marketing. Their pain, in most cases, is their hot button. All we're doing here is we're tapping into the problems that your prospects already have. We're not trying to manufacture a crisis for them or anything like that. We're merely poking their problems and pointing out that they've got those problems so that their reticular activator notices and brings us onto their active radar screen. Now here's the key point to all of this, and one that none of the big ad agencies or marketing gurus seem to understand, but one that you need to know in order to make all of this work for you. The activators that are used to interrupt the prospect must be based on a relevant hot button. If not, the prospect will momentarily be interrupted, but will quickly snap back into downtime. That's what we call false uptime, and frankly that's just a waste of money. So this happens in marketing all the time. Most marketing interrupts, but it really just doesn't engage. Just like Shane Warne and the hair replacement. If you don't have a hair loss issue, You're back in downtime quick as look at you. This is one of the things that almost no one seems to understand, and one of the main reasons everything you've ever learned about marketing is wrong. You've been conditioned into believing that as long as you've interrupted the prospect, then that's it, that that's good enough, that the job's done. But you have to realize that if you only interrupt the prospect, that's only a quarter of the conversion equation. You've got to include all 4 components: interrupt, engage, educate, and offer to get the maximum results from your marketing and advertising. Now, when it comes to writing the marketing, we need to portray the hot buttons in the form of headlines. The headline is the first opportunity you have to interrupt Jane Doe. You've got maybe 1, 2, 3 seconds max to interrupt the prospect. So the headline has to have activators in it. And those activators need to be based on things that are important and relevant to Jane Doe. Remember, hot buttons, words and phrases that describe problems or frustrations that the prospect is feeling so that their reticular activator latches onto them and snaps them into uptime. In print ads, magazines, newspapers, so on, the headline is obvious. In radio, the headline is the very first sentence that you hear. Google AdWords, it's the first bit of text. TV, the first thing you see and hear. Let me give you one quick example. So it's a child psychologist, works with kids with really serious behavioural problems. Most of these kind of professionals, most child psychologists, if you randomly look at a bunch of websites, they'll be saying things like, we offer parenting advice and resources, we can help get your child under control, learn the secrets of well-behaved children. Got to say though, as a parent with an out-of-control child, why would I want to know the secrets of well-behaved children? Seriously, see what I mean? No one's getting it? That everything you know about marketing is wrong? If you have a child that embarrasses you in public, it's basically uncontrollable, unmanageable, then aren't you desperate for a solution for that behavior? So what if the child psychologist uses this headline? Are you sick and tired of yelling, screaming, and belligerent attitude of your child? Doesn't that immediately address the conversation going on in the head of the parents or Jane Doe? Wouldn't that headline immediately interrupt them and knock them out of downtime and into uptime? Look, of course it will, because it hits on the prospect's hot buttons of uncontrollable children. Okay, to wrap up this discussion about interrupt and engage, let me address the topic of engage specifically for 1 second. To successfully engage, all you have to do is use a headline or a subheadline that promises the reader that if they keep reading or listening, they will get information that will facilitate their making the best decision possible, not sales information. I want to be real clear about that. Not, here's how great we are information, but rather bona fide decision facilitating information. Sometimes the headline will engage in itself, but more frequently it's the subheadline that makes the promise to educate and therefore does the engaging. Back to that child psychologist that used the headline, "Are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming and belligerent attitude of your child?" His subheadline, "Now you can discover the secrets of controlling your child and instantly restore peace and quiet in your home." Show me just one parent experiencing that sort of behavior from their child who wouldn't immediately respond to that ad. The subheadline engaged the prospect to continue reading to find out what that decision facilitating information was. And that brings us to the third and fourth components of the conversion equation, which are educate and offer. I mentioned earlier in the presentation that every marketing piece should contain a low or no risk offer to encourage the prospect to take the next step, and that offer should generally be to receive additional information, or in other words, to further educate the prospect and build your case. Now here's the real key to success in marketing. The right offer allows you to capture a large percentage of all future buyers, in addition to those who are looking to buy right now. There's an educational process that the prospect goes through from the moment they begin thinking about buying your product or service to the point where they actually complete the purchase. Most marketing, in fact 99% of marketing, only caters to those now buyers who'll be making a purchase decision in the very near future, and does absolutely nothing to educate those who are just thinking about it, but who might buy later. Here's the biggest problem with that. At any given moment, the number of prospects who are ready to buy right now represent no more than 1 to 5% of all of those who are ultimately going to buy what you sell. You've got 95 to 99% of your prospects who are in thinking about it and information gathering mode. But when they're attempting to gather information or attempting to research, you don't give it to them. This is where the fourth component of the conversion equation becomes absolutely massive. Your offer gives you the opportunity to provide additional educational information to the information gathering, researching prospects, and in the process capture valuable contact information about who these people are so that you can proactively market to them on an ongoing basis. The child psychologist offers information on gaining and maintaining control of your child in 60 seconds. But here's the really neat part about that type of offer. When parents go online and request the information, the child psychologist has now got that prospect's name and email address and can market directly to them at little to no cost from now until ever. The child psychologist sets up things like drip campaigns to consistently and repetitiously follow up with these interested parents and keep providing them with information and decision-making data that will ultimately help them when they're ready to buy. Depending on what you sell and the specific situation, there are 8 different types of informational offers that we create and offer for prospects out there. And if you want to dominate your market, you've got to get your offers right as well. Hopefully this is starting to come together for you now. Okay. Interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. That makes up the conversion equation. And that equation is literally the backbone of all the incredibly successful marketing campaigns that we've ever put together. So let's go and we'll wrap this up now. You can probably tell from the depth of information in this presentation and the soreness of my throat that we've got a bona fide step-by-step system that helps business owners just like you become financially free using superior marketing that makes your phone ring. Tell you what, my passion is for helping the unsung hero of our economy, and that is the small business owner, you and me. Through applying this education in your business right now, you will start to see increases in your marketing and advertising results and profitability. Our goal is to make sure anyone who takes this training on knows that they really can achieve outstanding results with certainty in their marketing and definitely establish an unfair market share. I know we all started out in business with a financial freedom goal, maybe a way to give back, a lifestyle, but sadly for most of us, before we learn techniques like this, the reality of being in business, scraping and battling on a daily basis equates to no more than a badly paid job. So, just want you to know, last takeaway for today, we've got the strategies, resources and people to make sure you accomplish your business goals with certainty and in record time. Now, I've got a question for you. If there's anyone out there today who, and I can't say if there'd be anyone saying no to this, does anyone need an immediate increase in cash flow? Because if you said yes, then I suspect that we can help. Today we're offering at no cost whatsoever to everybody on this presentation our sales and marketing audit consultation. This is a 1.5 hour screen share process that takes what we've learnt here today and applies it into your business. It really is an extraordinary process, and it lets you see where the low-hanging cash flow fruit is in your business. It unearths at least $10,000 in immediate cash flow, and I've got to say, over the last week alone, the audits that I've done has unearthed a whole lot more than that. Plus, you'll also get to learn your own business's key performance indicators and walk away with a 6-month roadmap for strategic marketing implementation for your business personally. All free today. So, if you want to schedule, it's free. It's at no cost whatsoever. Sales and marketing audit consultation. That is my email address, jen@smartbizproject.com. Grab a pen. I'll leave that screen up for quite some time. So thanks for attending. I hope you found something that was really valuable in there, and that you remember that information without application is worthless. So please do your business a favor. Set aside some time today and implement 1 or 2 of these changes. Book an audit. It's free. Something. You're going to apply these principles and watch your marketing results go through the roof with certainty. Have a great day, everyone.